When I was growing up, my team was Tottenham. Number 8 was always Jimmy Greaves. And Jimmy Greaves was always inside right, mate. Referee, your offside rules do not apply to me. Yeah, then there was the goalkeeper, Pat Jennings. The safest pair of hands in White Hart Lane. The safest pair of hands in all of Ireland, where British rule would soon be sending British troops again. And the ball is always headed for the corner of the net. You're reaching out for something that you're never gonna get. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you do make the save, sometimes you don't. So who would want to be a team's goalkeeper? The last man standing on the line. The only pair of hands you can depend on when your game runs out of extra time. Well, both my dad and Albert Camus were goalkeepers. Albert learned to fight the plague between the posts. He held the line although the line was history. He held the line although the line was lost. And the ball is always headed for the corner of the net. You're reaching out for something that you're never gonna get. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you do make the save, sometimes you don't. Well, there's this photo of 11 schoolboys grinning. Arms round shoulders, kit don't match, but do they care? 'Cause their skipper's sitting centre with their trophy, and behind him keeper's cap on. That's my dad standing there. There are these photos of the man defying gravity. High jumping in midair, but best of all, there's that photograph where he's forever flying. All is being stretched to make the save and catch the ball. 'Cause the ball is always headed for the corner of the net. You're reaching out for something that you're never gonna get. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you do make the save, sometimes you don't. Later when I'm going through Ron's papers, there's this statement dated summer 39. For fellowship and freedom, and there's my father in those sentences at 17, my father underlined. So when war was declared in 1939, having seen the dark haunted eyes of the refugees from fascism in his youth club, My dad volunteered to fly, but he was too young, so he had to wait to be called up. His older brother Ernie, being 2 years old, had already been called up and was stationed in the airfields in Kent and Sussex during the Battle of Britain, and had this to say to his younger brother: "You can go down the zoo with Albert, poke old Wallace in the ear, get off the train in Wakefield, ask, is this Lancashire? Go down the Temperance Mission, ask if they got any beer. It's up to you, whatever you do, just don't volunteer." Well, you can play on the Brighton GGs till your nest egg disappears. Break the bank at Monte Carlo, shove your 8 knees on the pier. You can see what the butler saw there, or keep your conscience clear. But keep your head down, keep both feet on the ground, and just don't volunteer. Wait till the clouds go rolling by, and we see those clear blue skies, and never volunteer to fly. Down here we roll out the ammunition, we oil all the cogs and the gears. They do their bit for Britain, 'cause we do our bit down here. But I've seen what it does to the air crew, how they fall like a mother's tears. And I love you so, you silly so-and-so. So just don't volunteer. Wait till the clouds go rolling by, and we see the clear blue sky, and never volunteer to fly. And Ron would have to reply, too late, those clouds won't just roll by. I've seen those haunted eyes, that's why I volunteered to fly. Well, that's Ron. And Betty, of course, well, her school, I've lost my set list, it's fallen down. Betty had right. Betty was just 15 and her school closed and was evacuated, so she didn't go with the school into the country. She took a 2-month secretarial course and started work in the Nat West Bank at Bell Road, top of Bell Junction, top of Hounslow High Street. So she'd walk down Hounslow High Street and come back to 24 Colwyn Crescent. It's not a palace, it's not a slum, it's just a small suburban garden, with the song of the birds for mirth and the kiss of the sun for pardon. My father grows these sweet peas and roses, marigolds and hollyhocks. He says the fairest flowers that his garden grows, his fairest flowers are his daughters. My father fought in the First Great War. He came home gassed and wounded. I just got back my day at the bank when the air raid warning sounded. It was a clear night, clear as day. We climbed into the shelter. My father dug to keep us safe. It was the 14th day of November. That night we heard the whole sky shake with the roar of German engines, wave after wave passing over our heads. The 14th of November. We didn't know where they were going. We said, thank God it won't be us. We learned next day it was Coventry. It was Coventry lay in ruins. Pray each night that it's someone else, that it's someone else's children, with the song of the bombs for mirth and the kiss of the guns for pardon. We grow potatoes and things to eat. I wonder if I'll ever see 16, 'cause the bomb sites grow as wild as weeds through the blackout and the winter. A Second World War. I was born in South Saskatchewan, 1923. You could walk forever through wheat fields like the sea, and you could see a storm was coming from 100 miles away, and there'd be nothing you could do to stop it anyway. And my parents always taught me, when you hear the thunder sound, you stand your ground. So I grew up with red poppies and the ghosts of Vimy Ridge, headlines of Abyssinia, Berlin and Madrid. You could see the storm was coming, half a world away, and there was nothing you could do to stop it anyway. And my parents always taught me, when you hear the thunder sound, you stand your ground. So I sailed across the Atlantic before I was 19, to join the fight for freedom, to defend democracy, to stand up for the common man against the master race. In a stuffy little England, all accent, class and race, and we were all just lonely farm boys, a long way from the farm. Me and my brothers in arms. Well, Stalin says to Roosevelt, where's your second front? And Roosevelt says to Churchill, where's our second front? And Churchill says to Lord Mountbatten, where's our second front? And Lord Mountbatten says, send in the Canadians. They're all just lonely farm boys, a long way from the farm. Me and my brothers in arms. So they planned a raid on Dieppe, based on intelligence from photographs and postcards from their holidays in France. And they're going to bomb the town and land us. We'd storm the beach, and then, when the tide was turning, they'd take us off again, so they might see what happens when you're coming from the sea. Operation Jubilee. Operation Jubilee. So we're sat on this destroyer, priming our grenades. One goes off and 17 of us never even make the raid. Then the ramp goes down on Green Beach, we run towards the wire, and the dark before the dawn lights up with enemy fire, so they might see what happens when you come in from the sea. Operation Jubilee. right away to Pourville, up those cliffs so steep, and it's kick the door down, in you go, half naked, half asleep. I find this German officer with his French girl in his arms, and he's just a lonely farm boy, a long way from his farm. And I gut it with my bayonet while the French girl screams and screams. And in my dream, and the last thing I remember before they took me off, lying on a Dieppe beach with half my leg blown off, shells falling all around us. I see that girl again, bringing wine and water to our frightened wounded men. Our colonel gets a medal, I'll get home in 44, from the last good war, with a French girl screaming in my head and only half my right leg left, from the last good war. Well, I was born in South Saskatchewan, 1923. I could walk forever through wheat fields like the sea, and you could see the storm was coming from 100 miles away, and there's nothing you can do to stop it anyway. And my parents always taught me, when you hear the thunder sound, you stand your ground. With a French girl screaming in my head and only half my right leg left, I stand my ground. So, I wonder if Ron's path crossed with those Canadian soldiers on their way to Dieppe, because when he was old enough to be trained to fly, they sent Ron to Canada to learn how to fly, which must have been amazing for a kid who'd never been really out of Heston before. Bottom of his class, most of his time in secondary school. And there he is on a boat heading to Canada, where he learns to fly a Tiger Moth. And he decides he wants to be a navigator. Pretty complicated mathematics for a kid who was bottom of his class, particularly in maths, most of his secondary career. And eventually, he's trained and he's sent to the Bahamas to crew up. And most of his crewmates are Canadians. The pilot is Tommy Thompson. He's from South Saskatchewan, wheat farmer. And their job is protecting the Empire's bananas, for a while anyway. Well, they sent us off to fight in the Bahamas to keep the U-boats off our bananas. And I met the Duke of Windsor playing golf there while he was fighting for democracy. And a very nice man, a very nice man, a very nice man was he, a very nice man in his uniform, just like you and me, fighting for democracy. Well, they sent us off to fight in the Bahamas to keep the U-boats off our bananas. And I met a wing commander playing golf there while he was fighting for democracy. And a very nice man, a very nice man, a very nice man was he, a very nice man in his uniform, just like you and me, fighting for democracy. They sent us off to fight in the Bahamas to keep the U-boats off our bananas. And I met AC2 Plonk playing golf there while he was fighting for democracy. And a very nice man, a very nice nice man, a very nice man was he, a very nice man in his uniform, just like you and me, fighting for democracy. Well, they sent us off to fight in the Bahamas to keep the U-boats off our bananas. But you won't find our mate Lofty playing golf there, 'cause he's missing in the deep blue sea. And a very nice man, a very nice man, a very nice man was he, a very nice man in his uniform, missing in the deep blue sea. And now we've come back home from the Bahamas, we kept the U-boats off our bananas. No more playing golf in our pyjamas for the boys of 223 When they want a job done, calling for great skill, the cry goes out for 223, the boys they cannot kill. Up go the liberators, 1, 2, 3, and down they come, 3, 2, 1. We're pressing on regardless, regardless we press on. But when it was known that Ron was going to be posted back to England, one of the ground crew at the Bahamas said, "Yeah, you come from West London, don't you?" And it turned out they both went to the same school. They're in different years. And this bloke says, "Look, could you do me a favour? Could you take my fiancée a present? She lives in Hounslow and you live in Heston, so it's just next to it. No, you know, it's not a long way. It's just a bus ride." So Ron, being an obliging sort of chap, said, "Yes, of course." So he's got this little package, and there he is, getting back to England, and think, "Oh, I better deliver the package." And so he finds out on his presumably map where 24 Colwyn Crescent is, and it is just a bus ride, or even a brisk walk if you're feeling energetic, from 42 Summerhouse Avenue in Heston. And so that explains how, out of all the possible options of this godforsaken universe, it happened that my dad goes knocking on my mum's door in 1944 saying, "Hello, I've got a present from your fiancée." And the rest is history. I did ask my mum, "But when you met my dad, you were already engaged?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "Well, that's just what you did in those days, because when they asked you to marry them, you said yes, because you thought they wouldn't be coming back anyway." And she paused, and then she said, "And inside the package was a necklace, and it was a very thin necklace anyway." Ron, I think Ron always thought he got lucky, because my mother was extraordinarily beautiful. Her best friend from school, Roger, said that she had lovely long golden hair, and strangers would stop her in the streets and just stroke her hair. And Roger adds, of course, they were different times in those days. So yeah, I think forever thought he was just the luckiest man alive. He said, "You're altogether far above me. I couldn't hope, I wouldn't dare to think that you could ever love me. The poor girl with the golden hair. You are the moon and stars that guide me, my nightingale in Berkeley Square. You are the song that sings inside me, the girl with the golden hair. Was it meant to be we met by fate, or accidentally at my garden gate? You in your uniform, your RAF blue. All this time had I just been waiting for. Was it meant to be we met by fate, or accidentally at my garden gate? You in your uniform, your RAF blue. All that time had I just been waiting for, and in the years to come together, we'll have such memories to share, and I will love you forever, the girl with the golden hair, the girl with the golden hair, the girl with the golden. And he did. He loved her forever. 223 Squadron was part of 100 Group, and they were engaged in special operations. Their job was to persuade what was left of the German air defences, that a large bomber fleet, which actually just consisted of my dad and his Canadian mates in one aeroplane, were hovering over Dortmund, thus drawing what was left of the German air defences to Dortmund, while the main bomber fleet was kicking some shades of shit out of Nuremberg or Hamburg. And I had special radar gear, so it required a lot of skill to get the plane to where it was supposed to be and back again. And you can see there's a flaw to the plan, isn't there, I think? Make yourself a target. Won't be long before they catch up with you. I know all the names of the heavens by heart. I think that I always will be able to tell you the names of the stars. That is, if we don't get killed. 'Cause there's ice on the engines, there's the fighters, the flak. We're going to Berlin, we'll only get back if I steer us all home by the stars. I'm a name, rank and number. I'm not 23. I was just a solicitor's clerk. Now all my friends depending on me to find our way home in the dark. With the ice on the engine, the fighters, the flak, we're going to Berlin. We'll only get back if I steer us all home by the stars. Well, the others turned back. We pressed on alone, returning through headwinds and snow. One engine gone and a cup full of fuel to get us as far as the coast. With the ice on the engine, the fighters, the flak, we made it to Berlin while others turned back, and I steered us all home by the stars. Tommy's the pilot, he skippers the crew. Rex is the wireless, they're special ops too. And our gunners keep watch while we do what we do. And I steer us all home by the stars. I steer us all home by the stars. I steer us home by the stars. The casualty rate of Bomber Command was horrendous. There was only one other unit in the Second World War that had a higher casualty rate. That's the U-boats. That's the men in the U-boats. 44.4% overall death rate. Most people who are in Bomber Command at the start of the war didn't make it through the war, and most people who joined during the war didn't make it through the war. 44.4% death rate. Jack and Ron and George and Tommy, Bill and Brian and Des and Ted, all their hopes and all their wishes laid aside like books unread. They sewed on wings and strapped on parachutes, learned to play their different tasks: bomb aimer, navigator, beam gunner, upper gunner, hid shy smiles behind hard masks. The night was black, moon white, night black. Not all of these young men are coming back. Jack and Ron and George and Tommy, Bill and Brian and Des and Ted, all their hopes and all their wishes laid aside like books unread, to watch friends scream in flames from heaven through God's numb fingers night after night. And each one feels what no one names. The cards have turned for us tonight. The moon was white, night was black. Not all of these young men are coming back. Jack and Ron and George and Tommy, Bill and Brian and Des and Ted, all their hopes and all their wishes laid aside like books unread, and careless of all hopes and wishes. How much missed, how much loved, to turn those shy smiles into ashes. The bad luck waits in the clouds above. The moon is white, the night was black. Not all of these young men are coming back. "30 miles southeast of Dortmund, the fighters caught us, and at the third attack they hit the fuel tanks. J. Johnny burst into flames and began to dive. Jack and Tommy regained control long enough for half of us to crawl through the burning flame, kick open the escape hatch, and tumble into silent space. Half of us. They listed him as missing. They listed him as lost. I can't believe that my boy won't come back. I go to all the newsreels. I'm sure I'll see his face. I can't believe my boy won't come back. The war will soon be over, no matter what it costs. We won the war for freedom, no matter what we lost. My little sister writes him letters. His parents live in Summerhouse Avenue. I can't believe that my boy won't come back. Both their sons are missing. We talk about the cabbages and the marigolds. I can't believe my boy won't come back. Just when I start to ask myself, how long can he wait? There's a stranger that I almost know at my garden gate. His uniform's too big for him. He finds it hard to smile. I can't believe that my boy won't come back. They've given him a desk job. He stares off into space. I can't believe that my boy won't come back. And everything's black market now. There's dancing every night. We won the war for freedom, so that must make it right. I can't believe, I can't believe, I can't believe my boy won't come back. Meanwhile, who was it won the war, mate? Well, apart from the Russians, of course. You know that it wasn't all thanks to the Yanks flogging us their clapped out old aeroplanes and tanks. Who was it flew and drove them all the way over the Rhine? Whose was the blood and the sweat and the tears? Winston's or yours and mine? So I'm voting Labour next Thursday. It's Labour on Thursday for me. I'm voting for hospitals, voting for schools and state-run utilities. Good jobs and proper pensions, that's the way to end poverty. I'm voting Labour next Thursday, at least 4 p.m. for me. All together, I'm voting Labour on Thursday, at least 4 p.m. for me. Well, it's all very well making speeches with your brandies and fat cigars, but when it comes down to it, what do they do? Remember Gallipoli and CO2, and speeches don't build any houses or care for our kids and our mums. I want a peace fit for people, not Winston's old upper-class chums. So I'm voting Labour on Thursday. It's Labour on Thursday for me. I'm voting for hospitals, voting for schools and state-run utilities. Good jobs and proper pensions, that's the way to end poverty. I'm voting Labour on Thursday at least 4 p.m. for me. Once more, I'm voting Labour on Thursday at least 4 p.m. for me. I'm voting Labour on Thursday at least 4 p.m. for me. And they did. And they did. And Ron and Betty got married July the 27th, 1946. You can't see it, there's the photograph over my right elbow. My mum's looking radiant. My dad's looking stick thin and not well at all. He didn't have a particularly pleasant time when he was captured. But now the glasses have been raised to Ron and Betty. Now it's come to time to say goodbye. Sister Queen has thrown the last of her confetti, and both the mums are dabbing at their eyes. The bride and groom are leaving arm in arm as Sister Lily hugs the bride's bouquet, and Brother Best Man's got the groom's pyjamas tied round his neck. What a wag he is. But Henry Robert coughs and turns away, and the silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. The silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. So Ernest Isaac stops and knocks his pipe out, pats his in-law gently on the back, says, "Where'd you get that, Harry? Was it wipers?" Harry nods and whispers, "Gas attack." And later, when their guests have all departed, and later when their wives have gone to bed, they share the scotch that Harry gets black market, and all the things they've always left unsaid. And the silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. The silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. So Harry carries on with his rebuilding, and Ernest Isaac Depps in local bands. Both of them will see their children's children, and yesterday's enemies shaking hands. They'll laugh with Tony Hancock's lonely humour, sing along with Ringo, George and Paul and John. They carry memory with them like a tumour, 'cause they know where all those good old days have gone. And the silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. The silence of the salient descends. Absent friends. Absent friends. Absent friends. That's the clock over my right shoulder. Actually came from Great Aunt Gladys's attic. I found this old clock in the attic. don't know what to do. I don't think it will ever work again. It's filled with broken gauges, the voices of my crew, the escape hatch that won't open, and the flames. And I still think I'm falling. I still think I'm falling. I found this old clock in the attic. It looks as old as me. I don't think it will ever work again. It's wound so tight with silence, they threw away the key. It only tells you number, rank and name. And I still think I'm falling. I still think I'm falling. I found this old boy in the market. He's got this shop for mending clocks. He sees my tie and says, "Oh, you flew." His son was in the fire brigade, went right through the Blitz. Killed in 45 by a V2. But when the sky was falling, his shoulders kept the sky from falling. When the sky was falling, his shoulders kept the sky from falling. And look, the hands are moving. And so the future starts, like a shivering puppy on a market stall. I take my love beneath my coat, a newborn beating heart. The parachute maybe opens, after all. 'Cause when the sky was falling, our shoulders kept the sky from falling. Yes, when the sky was falling, our shoulders kept the sky from falling. After all. After all. Go on then. Guess who I ran into last Thursday? I get off the bus at Bell Corner and there's Lou. Well, we knew that we'd soon both be thirsty, so the pub was the right thing to do. The landlord looked at us funny, like he'd not seen a woman before. 2 pints of stout, here's your money, says Lou. And what did you do in the war? Well, he mumbled a bit, and Lou says, well, I drove ambulances in the Blitz. And I didn't tell Hitler to piss off just so's you could stare at me tits. So he serves us our stout and we sit down. And Lou laughs and says, ain't life grand? She says, I can see you're expecting. And I says, that's a ring on your hand. And I says, was it Arthur you married? Or the bomb aimer, what's his name, Jack? Lou says, no, the quiet one, Archie. Well, I thought he'd never come back. He was always so shy and so gentle, it took ages to ask me to dance. Then he suddenly asked me to marry him because he knew he was going to France. And I thought when the boats hit the beaches, he'd be the first one to go. Him being so quiet and so gentle. So I hadn't the heart to say no. But he went through the lot, and what got him was the things that I know that he saw, and he came back. So he had to get married, and he says even less than before. Except when it's union business, the lads at the post office know Archie stands up to the bosses. Once he starts, he won't let it go. He says he don't want children, not with the things that he's seen. He won't bring a child into this world, he says, not till we've made this world clean. But you'll have a national health baby, says Lou, with free milk and vitamin C, regular trips to the clinic and... National health classes for free. Yeah, shame there's not National Health Fathers, I says. The dad's an American Pole. Lou laughs. Solidarity, Gladys, but where was your workers' control? Now that gets the landlord all grumpy. You girls stick to drinking your beer. We're loyal to our king and our country. We don't allow politics in here. Lou says, just think of the future. Your kid will learn so much at school. Not just reading and writing and arithmetic, but painting and poetry and all. Lou says, I know all the statistics and I think the A-bomb's a curse. But when I've seen those pictures from Auschwitz, I wonder what's bad and what's worse. So I'm proud my arch went into Belsen. We ain't going back on the dole. We fought for a land fit for people. And what we want is workers' control. That's it, barks the landlord. You're leaving. As soon as I finish me stout, says Lou, the landlord snarls. You and that Ackley. Old Winston will sort your lot out. Yeah, he'd first have to get re-elected, says Lou. So you'll be in for a bit of a wait. We'll be all having kippers for breakfast now. Now we've all got this new welfare state. And part of the welfare state was the expansion of the education service. And that's what Ron did. Ron was part of that. The boy who'd spent a lot of time at the bottom of the class trained to be a teacher. And he was an extremely good teacher. And he wanted to be an extremely good head teacher. Because, of course, he knew what it was like to be overlooked and not have anybody notice you. His first job was at Lionel Road School in Brentford that shall remain nameless. And when he turned up, although he was still a bit stick thin, he was desperately good looking as well. And the head teacher, Mrs. Hennick, she took one look at him and said, "Ah, Mr. Johnson, yes, if any of the mothers ask you home for tea, don't go." Oh, here we are in Nobby's class, the kids will say hello. There's maybe 67 of us sat in nice neat rows. Some of us are scruffy and some of us don't wash. But Nobby smokes his pipe and wears his RAF moustache. We like to call him Nobby cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. Grey-green painting of sunflowers on his wall, and he likes to read us poetry and he takes us for football. So every Saturday morning he turns up mustard clean, then he cycles home with a dirty kit for Mrs. M to clean. We like to call him Nobby cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. My mum, she's on the game, but that don't worry Nobby, cause he likes us all the same. His job's to open windows and open doors as well. It's so we can do anything, he says, not cause we smell. We like to call him Nobby, cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. My dad was passing Nobby's house last night and heard a scream. He says he's heard that every night our Nobby has bad dreams. He dreams he's in a burning plane, he bails out and he falls. I watch him light his pipe next day, he hardly shakes at all. We like to call him Nobby, cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. Tells us why he always wears his caterpillar tie, cause he lost a boot but his parachute saved him in the sky. He also lost his Bexleys, he's only got one tooth. He says he's not a hero and he hates the Hitler Youth. We like to call him Nobby cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. We like to call him Nobby cause he's all skin and bone. He got shot down by Hitler and then he come back home. So here we are in Nobby's class, the kids who say hello. There's maybe 67 of us sat in my sweet rows. Per ardua ad astra, the kids who shout hurrah. We know we're lots of little stars, 'cause Nobby says we are. When I was growing up, my dad's classroom looked like the most exciting place you could ever be. Stardust in your eyes, it's okay to look surprised. Given time, in time, we'll be lucky. Snowflakes in your hair, a Christmas alphabet to share. Given time, in time, we'll be lucky. Though the rent still needs paying in our ideal home, and every headline reminds us it's a cold, cold world war all around us. Though the rent still needs paying on our ideal home, and all the headlines remind us it's a cold, cold world war all around us. One on one, you and me, one on one making three. Given time, in time, we'll be lucky. Given time, in time, we'll be lucky. Given time, given time, given time, in time, we'll be lucky. So I suppose I ought to confess that this is where I enter the narrative. I was born on Christmas Day, 1955, in Hackney, the Royal Free Hospital. It had been moved, it was due to an outbreak of some kind of disease and moved it. So, and the other thing, remarkable thing about 1955, of course, it was the year of the first official Christmas single. Christmas Alphabet, as mentioned in the last song by Dickie Valentine, shot to the top of the charts, and it was the first time anybody had ever come up with a Christmas single. It's worth tracking down on YouTube once, is all I would say. Just to know. Do that again. You don't get to say when you're born in a barn or somewhere nice and warm, please. You don't get to say when you're ill, no thank you, I can't pay the bill. Popping the bubbly, you're popping the weasel. They're both different spots, but we still get the measles. Fortnums and Woolies may charge different prices, but wherever you cough up, you still get bronchitis. So welcome to Craven Vale Hall, the long and the short and the tall. We're much of a muchness, typist or duchess, we're all made of dreams after all. Welcome to Craven Vale Hall. Jerusalem here, with care homes like this everywhere. We're laying these foundation stones for our children who never came home. At the point of demand we will cure those old curses like rickets and Tories, with clinics and nurses, the front of the queue or the back of the bus. The national wealth is for each one of us. So welcome to Craven Vale Hall, the long and the short and the tall. Oh, we're much of a muchness, typist or duchess, we're all made of dreams after all. See you in Craven Vale Hall. Welcome to Craven Vale Hall, the long and the short and the tall. We're much of a muchness, typist or duchess, we're all made of dreams after all. Welcome to Craven Vale Hall. Much of a muchness, the typist, the duchess, Her Majesty's husband, my old man the dustman, the bishop, the actress. The obvious fact is we all piss and shit after all. So I'll see you in Craven Vale Hall. I got slightly distracted because I thought there's some kind of discussion about whether I was born in Islington or Hackney. I should not try to read the comments. Sorry about that. Have I got this wrong? It's kind of infectious, and you think, what's that? That was an interesting discussion going on there. And Craven Vale, of course, is the rehab centre that kept my mum Betty alive for 2 years. It's closed, of course, now. Just before Christmas last year, she couldn't go there anymore because it was closed. And so she died just before the pandemic, which is probably a blessing. Come on. Wir sind die Deutsche, die böse Deutsche. Wir sind die Deutsche, die böse Deutsche. We are bad Germans. We live near Dortmund. We live in freedom. But in Berlin, very bad Germans have built a wall there to keep freedom out and bad Germans in. We still remember how it was that night. The night was black, the moon was white. The sky would shake above our little garden with the noise of British bombers, night after night. You see bad Germans on every TV. Your heroes shoot us down in every cinema. Because we did nothing to save the good Jews. That's how bad us bad Germans are. That night there was a knock upon the door. You know he could have been our neighbour's son. The enemy doesn't look much like an enemy when he's frozen, one boot missing, and so young. He was a good boy, our British airman. He was exhausted. We let him sleep. We gave him coffee, a slice of rye bread, while we waited for the police. We couldn't look each other in the eye. We knew the nearest town had been hit bad. Would they hang him for their children that had died? This boy who looked just like our neighbour's son. So we did nothing. We followed orders, did what our leaders told us to. We sent our children to die for freedom. We are bad Germans, just like you. Look in this mirror. Look in this mirror. Look in this mirror. Meanwhile, back in Isleworth, summer holidays, they last forever when you're 7 years old. The last day of school, that's the best day ever, and you're 7 years old. 'Cause summer means Grandad's big grey helmet hunter, and green lanes we go gliding through. And who smells the sea first and farms? Only my Grandad knew. Summer holidays, they last forever when you're 7 years old. Summer Saturdays, they last forever when you're 7 years old. It's a gobstopper day, it's the best day ever when you're 7 years old. The summer means climbing my grandfather's apple trees as high as I could, and no other apple I've ever had has tasted so good. Summer Saturdays, they last forever when you're 7 years old. grandfathers, they last forever. When you're 7 years old, they never say much. That's because they're so clever. And you're 7 years old, and you want to know who, and you want to know how, and you want to know what if and why. Then this tall tree bends down and gives you a glass of blue sky. Grandfathers, they last forever. When you're 7 years old. You never hear the first leaf fall, the fruit turn bad, the cold wind call your name. No, you never hear the first leaf fall, or the fruit turn bad, or the cold wind call your name. But it does. Oh, it does. Summer holidays, they last forever. Saturdays and apple trees, they last forever. The grandfather. When you're 7 years old. Oh, yeah. I remember watching the telly when the telly suddenly said this bloke called President Kennedy had been shot, suddenly dead. It's the same thing 2 years later, 1965. It bucketed up the telly when Winston Churchill died. Don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Night, night, sleep tight. Leave the light on the landing on. Night, night, sleep tight. Oh, when the Saturday morning pictures showed a hard day's night, well, it made a nice change from the damn busters, though it was still black and white. If those big girls sitting behind you, smoking players number 10, if they scream and they threaten to stab you with their big girl safety pins, don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Night, night, sleep tight. Leave the light on the landing on. Night, night, sleep tight. Ooh. Well, now the world is always changing, but your mum and dad don't. We said goodbye to the 50s, but your mum and dad won't, 'cause they never had it so good, so they wanted it to last. But I felt like I was drowning in someone else's past, someone else's England, and it still sticks in my throat that there's not one flicker of Dresden on that face on your 5-quid note. Don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Don't worry, there's always Ovaltine. Night, night, sleep tight. Leave the light on the landing on. Night, night, sleep tight. Leave the light on the landing on. Night, night, sleep tight. Leave the light on the landing on. Night, night, sleep tight. 'Cause there's always Ovaltine. He's the man who put the rat in Desert Rats. Fathered most of the firefighters across the south of England, apparently, because they all kept on turning out asking where he was. Where's my dad? They knew him as Frank, but to me he was always Uncle Cyril. Well, everybody's got an Uncle Cyril, that one who's always different from the rest. There's loads of Uncle Fred and Auntie Dalgit, but it's your Uncle Cyril's you remember best. I only met him once, my Uncle Cyril, whose name was really Frank apparently, and he looked just like me granny, only more evil. And I still remember what he said to me: if you can't get the man, get the ball. If you can't get the man, get the ball. You can play it fair and square, that don't get you anywhere. If you can't get the man, get the ball. Well, Uncle Cyril, he was not a gentleman. Trust him as far as you could throw Big Ben. Well, he'd do 'em wrong from Dagenham to Cheltenham, then he'd have a fag and do 'em wrong again. Well, we still stood for the Queen and said our prayers, though the Americans was at the gates of Rome. And we'd wave the rules in Kenya and Malaya. Well, Uncle Cyril went and waved them at home. If you can't get the man, get the ball. If you can't get the man, get the ball. You can play it fair and square, that don't get you anywhere. If you can't get the man, get the ball. Well, he ended up in Papua New Guinea with Margot, who was 6'7" tall, and he was all of 5'5", like nothing, doing nothing much while Margot died for pearls. They come back once from Margot's operation. They left the curtains just that little bit apart, and more than just that 10 bob at the station. He left a little touch of mayhem in my heart. If you can't get the man, get the ball. Yeah, if you can't get the man, get the ball. Well, you can play it fair and square, that don't get you anywhere. If you can't get the man, get the ball. All together. If you can't get the man, get the ball. Yeah, if you can't get the man, get the ball. Play it fair and square, that don't get you anywhere. If you can't get the man, get the ball. Yeah, if you can't get the man, you can't get the man. If you can't get the man, oh, get the ball. So, it's something that I've realised more as I was writing these songs, that I haven't written enough songs about my grandmothers. When I finished Gentleman, I wrote this for Lil. This is Lil's song. It's their 50th wedding anniversary. I think we went to the Ostley Motel. That's all we ever went to. When we met up with Uncle Cyril, we went there, Ostley Motel, for a slap-up roast, probably. Some flavourless vegetables boiled to death, covered in toxic gravy. Something that once went moo, sitting at the side of the plate, the height of British cuisine. So glad it's gone. And I realised that partly The nature of the patriarchy, isn't it? Also, and the nature of the patriarchy means that my grandmothers had unexamined lives. And this is a song that tries to say that what Louis used to do with her life was just as important as what Ern did. It's called Sweetheart. When did I last see my needle? When did I last see my thread? You just turn around for a moment and they're gone forever. And where did we find all those blackberries? You'll have to tell me again. Was it Bournemouth or Eastbourne? That fortnight it rained, didn't you take the hand of a girl I used to know? She was called Sweetheart 100 years ago. When did I last see my glasses? Oh, surely that face can't be mine. You just turn your back for a moment and it's 50 years later, 50 years of cooking the dinner on Sunday, doing the washing on Monday. The things that once mattered, they're just all old-fashioned these days. Didn't you take the hand of a girl I used to know? She was called Sweetheart 100 years ago. And when did I last see those children falling asleep in my arms? You just turn around for a moment and they're gone forever. My favourite time was the evening, the waiting and you coming home. I never told you, and you never said much, but our love was forever. So won't you take the hand of a girl you used to know? She was called Sweetheart 100 years ago. She was called Sweetheart 100 years ago. Saturday morning and sixpence to buy my favourite comic, where we won the war Sundays was John Wayne or Reach for the Sky, black and white heroics where we won the war. Tell me my enemy, tell me my friend, tell me my enemy, did the war ever end? My grandfather dying in the room next to mine, 50 years dying, an inch at a time. His war was this black book, and he showed me one day all of the photographs that he wanted to say. Tell me my enemy, tell me my friend, tell me my enemy, did the war ever end? Jerry and Tommy were men with no eyes, men with no arms, men with no legs, and all of the corpses, they all look the same, like fat generals smiling or thin children starving too. So tell me my enemy, tell me my friend, tell me my enemy, did the war ever end? Well, whose is the profit? Whose is the loss? Go and ask at the men in gate for the price and the cost. Price of those uniforms, cost of those guns. It's always somebody's granddad, somebody's son. So tell me my enemy, tell me my friend, if we said I am nobody's enemy, could we make the war's end? Whoa, nobody's enemy. Whoa, nobody's enemy. Whoa, nobody's enemy. Whoa, nobody's enemy. My grandfather dying in the room next to mine. I can no longer climb the stairs, a losing battle for each breath. I can no longer say my prayers, I count the countless names of death. So many men, I watch them go, so many candles in the rain. Oh, tell me, daughter, I don't know, how will I see those boys again? How will I see those boys again? And I have heard death's whistle blow, I've seen them rise and walk towards hell, footballs and bagpipes as they go, and things no tongue should ever tell. So many ways I watch them die, I never thought to see such pain, and no one to hear them when they cried. How will I see those boys again? How will I see those boys again? Now I lie here in the dark, beneath the mercy of the guns. Life is such a little spark. That bastard gas has got my lungs, and I will hear the whistle blow, and I will rise into the rain. Oh, tell me, daughter, I don't know. How will I see those boys again? How will I see those boys again? How will I see those boys again? For every funeral in the morning, there's a new comrade being born. Little Edie Annie Spinks loves the Beatles and the Kings, living in a council house, quieter than a council mouse, never past 11 plus, rides the number 13 bus to the secondary modern, where she gets forgotten. Mum and Dad work all the hours, Edie's good at growing flowers, and Edie likes to sing along to her favourite Beatles song. All you need is love, 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 all you need is love. Love, love, all you need is love. Love, love, and comprehensive schools. Well, Esmeralda Fortescue spends her whole life feeling blue. A lovely house, a lovely home, a lovely garden all her own. Goes to such a lovely school to learn her Latin grammar rules. How can you be lonely when you've got a pony? Practices the scales for hours, she's not allowed to pick the flowers. Mummy's never ever there, and Daddy likes the new au pair. And all you need is love, 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 all you need is love, 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 all you need is love, 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 and comprehensive schools. Na, 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 na. Chance to learn to grow and sing and dance. It doesn't matter where you're from, you can go wherever you want, round the corner, over the moon, beyond the stars. It's up to you, whether you're Edie Annie Spinks or Esmeralda Fortescue. All you need is love, 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 all you need is love, 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 all you need is love, 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 and comprehensive schools. Love, love, all you need is love. Love, love, all you need is love. Love, love, and comprehensive schools. Na, 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 na. 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 And comprehensive schools. But things are starting to fall apart, not just with our family. With our family, when their grandparents died, what happened was, first of all, Elsie died. Suddenly she had stomach cancer, and she went the summer of '68. And Henry Robert hung on until Anne got safely back from holiday, where there were storms, and then he died as well. Autumn '68, and then Lil slipped away and left her. But also all the family, all the brothers and sisters are moving. And to be honest, I don't think my mother ever got over looking after Harry dying of cancer. He did say to her that he could no longer believe all he'd been taught since seeing so many about God and afterlife, since seeing so many lives just disappear on the Western Front. And I don't think my mother ever took communion after that either. But actually, by 1971, it was obvious that actually we needed a bit more than love. And of course, we really needed workers' control all along, didn't we? The welfare state was a good start. Anyway, what did we get? Everything changes and it changes again. Our finest hours way back when. Everything's respectable behind closed doors. We never had it so good. The rich and the poor were all semi-detached. Semi-detached, suburban. The pound in your pocket's now a 10-bob note. The shopping in your basket tells you how you should vote. There's colour television, there's men on the moon, but still a better tomorrow can't come too soon. We're all semi-detached. Semi-detached, suburban. Everyone moved away. Everyone moved away. I got my shopping in my basket, a pop song in my head, the latest fish fingers and sliced white bread. We're all back in Britain because, well, we won the war. How come we're still hungry for something more? We're all semi-detached. Semi-detached, suburban. And everyone's moved away. Everyone's moved away. Everyone moves away. Everyone moved away. I got my nuclear family. I got my nuclear family. I got my nuclear family. That's all. That's all. Oh shit, summoned to the head's room, Toad of Toad Hall says, Johnson, you haven't put your name down for the German exchange. Ugh. I go, no, sir, please, sir, I don't want to go, sir. Anyway, sir, no places left, sir. Sykes has just turned septic. Oh, great. Getting desperate now, sir. Well, sir, you'd have to ask me mum, sir. She wouldn't let me come, sir. Johnson, we just did. She said, yes. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, mother. So in the end, it's midnight. Mine's Hauptbahnhof. Mine's called Hans Karl. I'm dead nervous. What does he look like? What if we don't get on? And there he is with his mum and dad and his very, very lively younger brother, thinking, what does the Englander look like? What if we do not get on? And the next day we drive back to Mainz and he buys this poster of two blue hippos dancing that says, love is a many splendid thing. And I think, Jesus Christ, I've got a hippie! And he asks me what sort of music I like, and I say, folk music. And he goes, oh, Jesus Christ, because folk music means lederhosen, lots of pa. But we start exchanging swear words, and in the end, we make friends. We make friends. We make friends. We make good friends. Good friends. We make friends. We make friends. We make good friends. Good friends. Well, I meet the Omar, he meets Grandad Erm, and he takes me to Munchen and the Hofbrau house where there's beer for breakfast, Neuschwanstein and the Rotwein back in Mummenheim. And later on I get my first Fender Telecaster there and I drive his Passat to Heidelberg. And I even see Unter den Linden before the wall comes down. Man, it was beautiful. You know, 25 years passed just like that. He gets bald and I get fat. But we phone each other on the dot every Christmas day in no man's land. Because goodwill goes a long way in the end. We're still friends. We're still friends. We're still friends. We're still good friends. Good friends. We're still friends. We're still friends. We're still good friends. Good friends. Alles gut. When I went to Eitel Grammar School, first of all, it looked like something out of the 1920s. Anybody who was important wore a Batman gown. And they had the names of the dead prominently in the school hall. By the time I left, things were different. But I still think the whole thing was trying to cling on to an England that thankfully was long gone. What I remember is a golden afternoon, the summer fate a playing field, the big boys all smart hair and Batman gowns sold me this book I couldn't read. My mum and her mum smiled and held my hands as we walked home in time for tea. They said if I was good and I worked hard, there'd be a Batman gown for me with the golden boys, the golden boys. They lined us up in ranks to say our daily prayers. Mondays we'd clap the first 15, and carved in oak were all the names of all the players, capped for their king and country. had this Latin motto no one understood. You do your best, well played, well done. I did my best and made the second 15. We lost more than we ever won. The golden boys, oh those golden boys. Sometimes it felt like I was drowning in all those Sunday afternoons. Houses straight and neat as headstones, Boy Scouts and steam trains, the sins of other people. We all wrote poetry and tried to fall in love with golden girls with names like Sandra. We all grew our hair long and tried to play guitar. I thought that summer would last forever, but outside the golden leaves were falling from the trees. Outside the blue skies turning bloody. Outside the rent was due and all our poetry meant fuck all next to business studies. Business studies. The golden boys. The golden boys. The golden boys. The golden boys. So, I think I probably made it mention that those lovely monologues about Lou, I wrote those because, of course, no families everywhere. So I wanted somebody to fill in the background of things that our family's narrative missed. But I based her partly upon my great aunt Gladys. She was the Bolshevik of the family. My gran, Elsie, was the miserable one. Her brother, Uncle Frank, Uncle Cyril, was the naughty one. And Gladys was the Bolshevik. And her husband Arch did liberate Belsen. Great Aunt Gladys is the one in those old photographs you notice first as somehow out of place, among the hats and looks fit for a funeral, with signs of life and laughter in her face. Her family looked at life and frowned and disapproved. Great Aunt Gladys looked at life and thought that life could be improved. As a girl, she read the lists of casualties and watched the wounded sing God Save the King. The funeral faces sighed and sipped at cups of tea, while she preferred to hear the small birds sing. The bishops blessed the guns and said things are the way they are. But the Russian workers disagreed and overthrew the Tsar. And she knew that sometimes things can be complicated and slow and clumsy like a general strike. Leaders and great men are overrated, but she usually found the left was usually more or less all right. While others knew their station, she knew her mind instead. Great Aunt Gladys voted Labour, Great Aunt Gladys was a red. She marries Arch, who's also complicated, and works as a shop steward on the post, who's there when Bergen-Belson's liberated, comes back and slowly turns into a ghost. In a bungalow in Hampshire, where the left was more or less Arch and Gladys voting Labour, but it built the NHS. Age bent her body down, but not her bright smile. And I can still tell Hampshire from the singing of the birds. I helped collect the eggs laid by her feral chickens, holding carefully in her hands each perfect newborn world. You know, if you don't push it, it's never gonna move. Great Aunt Gladys voted Labour, because the world can be improved. Though the Blairs are far too many, and the Corbyns far too few. Every family somewhere's got a Great Aunt Gladys too. Did you go to Eton? Huh? Did you go to Eton? Did you win the war? Is Harold bloody Wilson what we won the war for? My father drove a tram in the general strike to stop the bloody Bolsheviks doing what they bloody like. He said it was actually rather good fun. He said he didn't know what the Bolsheviks had to bloody well complain about. What we want is Churchill sending in the troops. See a Bolshevik miner, order them to shoot. What we want is Enoch sorting out the blacks. Hurrah for the Daily Mail, send the blighters back. Did you go to Eden? Did you win the war? To have the bloody socialists banging on the door, Harold bloody Wilson, Sonny bloody Jim, Wedgwood bloody Ben, we'll soon get rid of him. Airy went to Eton, Airy's got a plan. Margaret Hilda Thatcher, she's our man. Going nowhere on the West Way, in the year of Jubilee, all those pop songs on the radio, a world away from you and me. Counting up the Grunwick pickets, taking on the SPG. There's a cold wind coming, it's gonna howl your whole world down. It's all too late and all too little. 6 years on from the angry brigade, we'll be paying for a tank of petrol till we can't afford a fire brigade. from Lewisham down to Southall, facing down the fascist parades. There's a cold wind coming, there's a cold wind coming, gonna howl our whole world down. You hear the sirens getting closer, watch the rubbish on your colour TV. If this winter lasts much longer, it'll be the death of you and me. Everything just needs mending. Wonder where it all went wrong. There's a cold wind coming. There's a cold wind coming. There's a cold wind coming. It's gonna howl our whole world down. She'll take the milk, she'll take the honey, take all the promise from the land, turning everything into money. The iron fist, the iron hand, high above the westway, watching as the sun goes down. There's a cold wind coming, it's gonna howl our whole world down. When I was growing up, my team was Tottenham. And number 8 was always Jimmy Greaves. And Jimmy Greaves was always inside right, mate. Referee or offside rules do not apply to me. And then there was the goalkeeper, Pat Jennings. The safest pair of hands in White Hart Lane. The safest pair of hands you can depend on. British rule would soon be sending British troops again. Both my dad and Albert Camus were goalkeepers. Albert learned to fight the plague between the posts. He held the line although the line was history. He held the line although the line was lost. The ball is always headed for the corner of the net. You're reaching out for something that you're never gonna get. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't, sometimes you do make the save. Later when I'm going through Ron's papers, there's this statement dated summer 39. For fellowship and freedom, there's my father. In those sentences at 17, my father underlined. Aren't we all? Aren't we all in these sentences? We believe that man can only find his true life in practical fellowship. The fellowship in which man can find himself, we believe, is based upon our nature as persons and is therefore not limited by family, sex, nation, race, class or creed, but is possible between all of us. It is found where we cooperate on the basis of freedom and equality. We therefore make our stand for a society of workers, cooperating in action to meet human need and to enrich our common life.